Let's talk about the idea of training with pressure and release versus positive reinforcement. It is my opinion that regardless of how we feel about these training methods, we have to teach our horses to get along safely in our domestic society. While using positive reinforcement through marking behavior and providing a primary reinforcer, i.e. click and treat, has a place in some of our training, we also have a responsibility to habituate our horses to accepting pressure and learning from release. Because they have evolved as prey animals as well as herd animals, nearly everything that our horse will experience in our domestic world is perceived as pressure. From living within the confines of a fence in the pasture, to interacting with other horses in a herd, to being stalled, tacked up, led about, ridden, as well as every close interaction that they have with us, they experience pressure every day. There is no situation in a horse's domestic world where they are free from the effects of pressure. As responsible owners, we have to teach them how to accept pressure and how to behave in response to it. The only way that we can do that is through practice. We have to expose them to pressure, have the expectation that they will take action in response to it, and teach them what we expect is appropriate. Being around a horse that is not habituated to pressure is kind of like being around someone who has a phobia of dogs. Inevitably, there will be a dog that runs through that person's space who screams and climbs the walls to get away from it. We know the dog won't likely hurt them, but it doesn't matter because they have a physiological response to it that is uncontrollable. It is highly unlikely that we can totally prevent that person from ever encountering a dog, so our next best option is to train that person to be less reactive to dogs. We are trying to change the way the person feels about dogs, and we do that by instituting a systematic desensitization program. What we don't do is expect that person to go out and walk the neighborhood park before they've completed the program. We introduce them to dogs slowly, while controlling their exposure so as not to send them over the edge into panic. We need to do the same thing with our horses and all the tools, environments, and pressures they might face in a human world. If we fail to do this, we're setting our horses up to live in a constant state of panic and run, which, remember, is their default mode anyway by birth. Horses are supposed to panic and run, even if they've never had a negative interaction with us or our environment. It is their biological imperative to be watchy, flighty, and always ready to escape. We have to overcome that with our training, and we can't overcome it if we don't expose them to the pressures that they are likely to encounter. Most horses are going to interact with all the normal things you'd find in a stable, from rakes to tractors to dogs to feed bags, people, saddles, halters, medical procedures, blankets, trailers, ropes, noises, cars, fireworks, and all the other things I can't think of right now. Our horses perceive all of these things as pressure, and it's up to us to teach them to give a generalized, calm response to pressure of all kinds in place of panic and run. We can't expose them to everything, but we can season them so that they know that in general, a calm response is correct. As we go through all the exercises in this course, I chose to use pressure and release as opposed to positive reinforcement for 3 reasons. The first is to institute that systematic approach to exposing them to pressure and teaching them to offer a calm response as opposed to an explosive reaction. The second is to instill a level of respect between horse and handler. By respect, what I mean is differential action shown towards someone or something considered important. This is not about a feeling, it is about an interaction. In order to remain safe, we need our horses to consider us as important. These exercises cause action which creates connection, and they are built on safety procedures. Practicing them regularly creates a deep connection based in safety. And the third reason we use pressure and release is because it's our responsibility to prepare our horses for venturing out into a world that we can't control. Horses live a long time, and circumstances change for us. It is foolish to expect that horses will only have one home. We have to remember that in every single home, there will be pressures. The horse's response to those pressures can literally be life or death for them. Teaching our horses to give a calm response by default is, in my opinion, obligatory.